Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. It's Coach Lawyer with Keeping It Real with TNL. Today I'm hosting and I'm interviewing this guy right here, Coach Ty.
What's going on? What's going on?
So excited about this. Okay, a couple quick announcements. Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 2 classes, 8:30 and 9:30. Make a reservation. When you get to class, click your name that's in blue so you're signed in, and then you won't get dinged for the no-show charge, right? So make sure you do that. The other thing is we had Anju, right? You were working with her on her goal review. Anju,
Yes.
goal review. And she's like, is there a way to have like a little question and answer, a little Q&A box or somewhere to put those questions around? And so we're getting that together. We'll have it out by tomorrow, which is the day you'll be watching. This will be Thursday, the 16th. Ooh, look at me, without a calendar and everything. So any questions you have about anything, you can put your name on it, be anonymous. Ty and I will be answering those questions on various podcasts. The one thing we did talk about is that if you ask us something like, can we get rid of burpees for 2025? What's the answer going to be? Oh, no. No. Keep it real with the questions, but we're happy to do that.
I'll be honest with you guys. I was with the burpees. That was a hard no on Tim. So if you want to take it up with him, that's
big guy. You'll find him. Talk to him about that. Okay, we're gonna get right to it because this is a really big interview. For those of you who don't know, I remember the day that Ty walked in. He's one of my favorite people. I love working with him. Tim and Ty and I make a great team, and I'm really excited about this for all of you to see more about Ty and what he's about. So let's straight from the gate, tell me about your childhood and your relationship with food during that time.
Absolutely. So our childhood wasn't too different. A lot of Filipino food, a lot of fast food, a lot of carbs, but kind of just to break it down. So I had a single mother, and so she was a working mom, and she didn't always have time to cook. So one of the more common things that I was eating was TV dinners. If you guys probably recall, there's something called kid cuisines, where it's just basically processed microwave food, and that was basically most of my meals. Obviously, cereal in the morning. I would start my day with that, like most, and then something else that was kind of almost a staple in my life was fast food. My grandma every Saturday, she'd want to go to get breakfast at McDonald's. And so it was something that as a kid, I looked forward to all the time because I knew, okay, Saturday, get to have a nice little breakfast meal and I get to play at the playground. So it was always a big day for me. And so it was, as I'm talking about this, I'm starting to see that food was really linked to a lot of happy times with me. And I think that was one of the issues that we later figured out more.
Yeah.
That was it.
All right. So there came a point where you were ready to make a change, right? The food that you were eating was making you feel or look a certain way, and you were like, let's change it. Tell me all about that.
So this is funny. I'm going to have to start a little bit back. So my first ever weight loss plan that I was ever on, I want to say I had to be like 8 or 9 years old. So just to put this into perspective, I was a very heavy set kid. And I remember in the second grade, there was a project that we were doing. And it was like basically you presenting yourself to the class and talking about your family and your life. And I remember one of the questions was age and weight. And I want to say in the second grade, I put like 165 or 170. So imagine that was me in the second grade. And I was tall, but I wasn't that tall that it hit. So it had been something I was kind of dealing with my whole entire life as a kid. And I remember when I was either 8 or 9, when my mom was like, hey, you're getting kind of big. Like, I'm not being mean about it, but you should probably think about doing something. And so she was like, I'm going on this thing called Atkins, and I think you should do it too. So you could start to see if you could lose weight. And she, basically the plan was you could eat meat, and all I remember on there was that it said no rice, no French fries, and no mashed potatoes. And my childhood was like shot. It was ruined. I was like, what? That's the whole entire thing.
That's life.
That's everything. And so, but I was like, fine, I will do this plan. So I remember it was like I was off school. It was summer vacation, and for an entire week, I'm only eating protein. I think I was eating like tuna mixed with mayonnaise, like eggs, things like that. It was still food. It wasn't like she was starving me. It was actual food. and I ended up losing like 8 pounds. And it was a big deal. Like I remember as a kid that being a pretty huge highlight. Like that has stuck with me. Long story short, at the end of the week, I still went to my grandma's and we went and got yeah, egg McMuffins and ruined it all. But that was my first like touch of like, oh wow, I changed, followed a plan, and I actually lost some weight. So that was my first time actually like trying to lose weight. And then we'll get into high school. So high school, it was a little bit different. High school, I got up to about 295. I was playing football, and it, I wasn't out of shape by the quote unquote standards. Like even though I was 295, I was still wearing well, and I was feeling confident. But something in the back of my head was like, dude, I just wanted to lose weight. That was something. I don't know if it was just a, a something that was always on my mind, but I was like, you want to know what? I don't have to. I'm not playing football. I'm off for my senior year. Basically, I only had a few classes, so it was last half of senior year. I went on this weight loss journey on my own, and it wasn't anything crazy, but it was the same plan that I remember as a kid. I went with the Atkins plan, and my basic at that time, I started out at like 295, and my routine was I'd wake up in the morning right before school. I would go to 24-hour fitness. I would do 30 minutes on the elliptical, and then I would obviously eat my healthy food. And then prior, I'd come home, I get my homework done, and then I would go again at about 9 o'clock in the evening and do another like 30 minutes and then try to run. So long story short, I stuck with this pretty consistently for almost 3 months, and I got down to 240 pounds. And so that was kind of a big deal for me. And I'll be honest, I don't remember myself that like as small as I had felt at any other point in my life. So clearly I had skipped right past that point at some and just went up. But I remember getting to that point and I was like, this feels very good. And I was actually happy with myself. So that was my first real quote unquote weight loss transformation journey.
I love that. So I also love your mom and that she chose Atkins because we know about the low fat crap nutrition advice that cause a lot of problems, like talk about diabetes and obesity going up. So it's a core memory. It's a good one because it gave you your first real introduction to like how food affects your health and your body and what food is outside of like kid cuisine and McDonald's muffins.
Absolutely.
Hey, muffin with cheese. Don't even act like people haven't had that watching this. We know. Classic. It's been decades though, but you know, we've had that. Um, those of us that know you and a lot of people at the gym know that you were 400 pounds at one point and then you lost weight and got down to 200 pounds, right? And have kept it off. So why don't you share with our audience, A, how you got there and B, how you got here, right? From that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to kind of go a little bit slow and kind of lay the groundwork here. If you're someone who's young and you're watching this, I want you to kind of listen to what I'm going to explain because you're going to come across this point in your life one day. Once you're older and you're out on your own finally and you got yourself a real job, you're probably going to meet somebody that you like. And in the process of getting to know this person, you're going to find yourself going on dates, going to restaurants, and doing things that you probably wouldn't usually do. This feels very good. It feels very, very, very comfortable. I remember certain like days that I had a long day at work, getting a phone call. Hey, babe, already got food. Just come on over. Wow, that sounds amazing.
Let's go.
I'm looking forward to that. And for lack of better terms, that is the slow noose of comfort. And that's what was being wrapped around me at that time. So let's just to kind of start the story. So I end up losing all that weight. That's around 2006, and then I leave for college in Florida. I end up coming back home, and now let's set the stage at 2000. I'm a mall security guard at a mall in San Jose, and then I end up dating a girl who worked at Starbucks. So during that process, I start gaining some weight. We start going out on dates. We start spending time. It's even worse that she works at Starbucks because she's giving me free drinks, all these kind of things. And I slowly end up just gaining weight. And the other thing that was taking place, even though fitness was somewhat important because we were doing other stuff, I'll go to the gym tomorrow. I'll go to the gym the next day or next week. And what people don't realize is that you may be in this kind of trap now with someone who you may call your wife, your husband, where who you used to be, and now because we're in this thing, we've got comfortable. And I will kid you not, a lot of people have it much more under control than me, but it caused me to basically get up to 400 pounds. And that wasn't overnight. That was in the 5-year stretch of that uh, relationship. But it was because every time that we would want to do like have some fun, let's go out to a restaurant. Every time that I would have something good happen at work or on the ward, oh, let's go out and eat. Let's go grab some drinks. And it was slowly becoming how I considered this is how I spend my happy time with food at a restaurant, doing this. And it was just, it's something that I kind of had began to lose control of. And when I say begin to lose control, I'll take you guys to my highest point, 2012, about 405 pounds. I remember my diet, like after working my shift, I would go to Jack in the Box and I would get 2 extreme sausage sandwiches, 2 supreme croissant sandwiches, 2 ultimate breakfast sandwiches, 6 hash browns, and a Dr. Pepper. And I remember being 400 pounds, and I'd be pulling up to the window to get the food, and I would be feeling so embarrassed that I ordered that much food that I would immediately tell the person, "Oh yeah, I'm just picking up food for my friends." That's how ashamed I was at who I had become. Not to mention going into restaurants, having to ask to sit at a table because I don't fit in booths. Like dealing with all of these things, and it was coming to a head. And you know what's even scary about that? Even with all that, nothing had sparked anything to make me change. So,
yeah,
I'm going to talk about where the change kind of came from. So, I'm up in Idaho. I get a phone call from one of my friends, and he's like, "Hey, now keep in mind this is one of my best friends, and he knows that I want to become a police officer." He's like, "Dude, you wouldn't believe who San Jose just hired. If you're watching, I'm not naming any names. These dudes are good dudes." But at the time, I was like, they hired those guys. And that was the first time in my life that I had hit a moment that I had realized the only thing stopping me from living my dream is nobody except my ability to control what I'm putting in my body. Because there was nothing stopping me. I had the work experience. I was a great candidate. And I found out 2 other dudes who I knew in my mind that I was better than, at least I thought, were about to live my dream. And it was because I was too lazy, too fat, and too incapable to control my own habits. And that was stopping me from doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing in this world. And that's when it finally hit. That's what it took for for a switch to change. So I'll let you touch on.
Unpack a few things. One, the how anything we're celebrating was celebrated with food and alcohol or both, right? Like the Giants won the World Series, getting blasted. New Year's Eve, go Barry, number 25. Every episode has to do that until watching,
Yep,
giving us shout outs on shows too.
That's a future guest.
Yes, put it out there. I'll meditate on that. He's coming on. So we're done here. That's not just but it's funny because that's how it is in this country, and especially California. Like it's not just like Chico is the party animal of California. The whole state is the party animal. So any and every excuse to get blasted, have 2 boxes of candy from Jose, the CrossFit Open, like people always want to party, right? And so that's still emotionally like you have to associate happiness and celebration has to be with food. It's like they can't be separate. And you weren't asking for like a grilled chicken breast and some zucchini.
No.
Because you had a good day at work. Like, no, it's like, you know what would be really good after this great day at work? Boneless, skinless chicken breast.
Can't win.
And some squash. But if we did that, it'd be easier, right?
Absolutely.
And then this passion of I want to be a cop was enough to make a change. And it started with you knowing you needed a 14-minute mile and a half, right?
Ah.
Oh, let's talk about this. This one hits.
I'll go into that story. So now we're at the point that it finally hits me, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start to take some action. So weight loss still technically wasn't at the forefront. What was at the forefront, like Lori had just mentioned, was I knew to be a police officer in the state of California, you had to run a mile and a half in a minimum of 14 minutes. I know that's not crazy, but for my size, that seemed like basically Everest. Like that was my obstacle. And I was like, so prior to me starting my plan, I will be honest, I went and had my last uh hurrah. I went to the cheesecake out in Boise. Uh, I don't really mention this, but the waitress actually got my burger wrong. I didn't even get the burger that I wanted for my last meal, but I was still talking about it. And then I think I ended up going out to get ice cream to compensate for my loss. What I told myself. And so then that next day, I'm like, well, look, I don't know where I'm actually out here with this mile and a half. Let's go to the track and let's run it and time it and let's see how it goes. And then I'll know how big this challenge really is. I end up getting myself to the track. I'm all geared up and I take off around the track. 27 minutes later, I find out that that's how long it took me to basically walk, run, jog, crawl 6 times around an actual high school track. And it was at that moment right there where I was like, oh no, there's no way I'm going to get like that. What I knew was going to be a tough challenge had then seemed to grow right before my own eyes. Because usually when you talk about somebody taking time off of their mind, it's like a couple minutes. It's not, I'm going to get from 27 to 14 minutes here. Yeah. That was a lot for me to process. And I almost just said, F it right there. But I'm like, you know what? Let's see if we can figure this out. So because of my high school and because of that eight-year-old me, I knew that I was able to find success when I would increase my protein and cut my carbs. So I was like, you know what? That's the plan that I will go with. I've seen it work when I was a kid. I've seen it work in high school. You know what? I'll be honest with you. That Atkins plan has followed me through all my steps, basically. So, uh, and then the other thing at the time was new that I didn't have, but I had then was an app called My Fitness App. And the only reason that I had tried it, there was a friend of mine who I was working with, and he had lost like 60 pounds. And he was like, dude, try this. It's really cool. So I was like, fine. I will try the My Fitness Pal, but I'm going to stick to the diet. So I ate my diet of high protein and low carbs, but I still tracked the calories to make sure that I was in a deficit according to what my fitness pal told me I would lose 2 pounds a week. And when I tell you that I was on a plan, I'm not like talking about like 2 weeks and then I ate something on Saturday. No cheat meals, no days off, not one day skipped tracking every single meal, not one workout missed. I didn't care that it was snowing. I actually people don't realize this. There's a point where I got really scabbed up from running in the snow on my knuckles. Tim probably knows what that's like, but it was one of those things where it didn't matter like what was going on. I was like, I'm going to stick to this plan. I'm going to see where this takes me because usually I was that guy. I would make it 4 weeks and I'd be like, I deserve a treat. And that treat would last like another year. Then I'd get a good 4 weeks. I deserve a treat. And then I'm right back on the wagon. So this was the first time I'm like, I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to just go until I'm a cop. That was the mindset that I basically gave myself. Now, this next part, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm going to get a little bit emotional. You know this story, but I'm on this journey. And so I'm having pretty steady weight loss for the most part. Like week one, I think it was like 8 pounds, and then like sixes and fives and fours, like pretty good. I always get it mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it's either week 7 and 8 or week 6 and 7, but it was that point. And I want to say it was week 7. I get on the scale and it says 0 pounds. So naturally, I'm like, what's going on here? And so this is kind of a bigger deal because, like I told you guys earlier, I was doing everything right. There wasn't any excuse for me not to lose weight according to my fitness pal. I was in a deficit that entire week prior, and I had a 0 pound weight loss. Naturally, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm at a plateau. Let me just figure this out. And I end up uh, basically going back home and kind of dialing things even more in. So I cut my calories even more. And then I began to increase my workout time, not by much. It was like a couple more minutes, but each day. So it was like the steady increase where like we need to be on here for 2 more minutes and we need to eat like 400 calories less. And then maybe I will continue on my weight loss goal. Week 8 rolls around, back at the Nampa Rec Center. I get on that scale, ready to go. Boom. 0 pounds lost again. Like to the point that maybe I thought the scale was broken. There was no way. And once again, I told you guys, no cheat meals, by the book. 2 weeks straight with a 0 pound loss. At that moment, I almost quit. I literally stepped off the scale and I'm looking like outside and I'm like, dude, what's the point? Like this is done. I'm like now I know why people don't lose weight. Because it's impossible. Like those were the thoughts that were going in my head. But I had a moment of clarity and all of my anger, and I was like, well, look, at least you could say that you feel better now than you felt probably the past 5 years of your last or the last 5 years of your life. So that was honest. And I was like, you know what? If that's what you get out of this is you just get to feel like this, then let's just keep on going. And that was the only reason that I kept going. And so this is why I get emotional. And so if there's anyone who's ever quit anything, I will tell you why. I almost let the scale on week 8 stop me from getting my badge as a police officer, stop me from getting on the special teams that I was a part of, stop me from getting homes. My everything that I've gotten since week 8, I almost let a scale tell me no, you can't have that. And I know that there's other people who still let the scale tell them how to live. And when you don't see the number, you quit. I think, dude, if I didn't keep going past week 8, none of this happens. And if somebody would have grabbed my head in that moment and just laid it out, showed me, there's no way I would have stopped. But I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about it.
Thank God you were strong enough to keep going without somebody showing you a future path, because that is that fork in the road, and so many of us just go down the path of quitting. And you were like, perseverance. Thank God it was enough to feel better, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I have reached for the one win.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, if the world thought about how they felt after they eat things, or why they don't eat things, or when they eat right, it would. I mean, think of the difference that would make. So that's like that's one of the most amazing things, and it's one of a couple of like forks in the road for you too. So thank you for sharing that. I know that's a I know my heart. I'm not even you, and I'm like, okay, pull it together. Like that's a tough one. But we see that with our clients, we see that with our members. Um, you guys remember when I was like, Tim, we need a staiku. Everybody's flipping out on the scale, like the scale, this number, this number, this number. And what's the body fat? What's the muscle mass? What's the, inflammation of the body, all the different things. And nobody thinks about that. And so many people now will be like, okay, they'll hear your words resonate with them. So when their scale doesn't move a while, they'll keep the faith, they'll keep going, they'll figure out if something's wrong, what to do, right? Like the sky's the limit, but you can't quit. You can never let your body weight be the determining factor of quitting and, losing the amazing future. And all roads have led to this. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of roads leading to things, tell us how you came to CrossFit San Ramon.
My CrossFit San Ramon story. So, CrossFit San Ramon, I came during the COVID time, and so it's kind of funny because as we talk about this, we always talk about everybody had a different experience with COVID. So I'll be honest, because I was still an essential worker, my life wasn't really shaping up too much. I was still steady work, steady going in and out, but the gym that I was going to at the time, it was a Fitness 19 in San Ramon. It had said, hey, we were told that we have to shut down. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll work out at the PD or I'll go run. That lasted like a week or two, and so basically there's a point where I'm at this. I'm just kind of stuck where I don't have a gym anymore, and I realize that how important fitness is to me to keep one my mental clarity, two to obviously keep me fit for duty at the time, and just for my overall wellness. Like I'm at that point. Like I would probably say that this was when I first had realized that working out was more than just vanity. There was something more to this thing, and why I was like, once it was gone, I was like, no, 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 no. I need to find a way. And so I ended up calling up some of the local CrossFit gyms here in the 925 area. I called CrossFit Ramon, I called it CrossFit Danville, I called up another one in Dublin. And so really quick, hey, business owners, this is about to be a pro tip for you. You call up and it's Coach Tim. And out of all the people who I had spoke with during that time, Coach Tim was the most friendliest. He actually seemed interested in after the call, asking questions, explaining how it works. He explains how they're doing it in the parking lot. It doesn't feel like I'm wasting his time. I guarantee he didn't know who he was talking to. 5 years ago, that conversation shaped everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you never know who you're talking to. It could change your life.
Yep.
But I said, I'm coming here, and we started this CrossFit thing. So we're doing no CrossFit stuff, and I had thought that I was a pretty decent athlete at the time, and I found out quickly that was not the case. And like I said, having Tim on me, and obviously he's the one who was like, "Hey, it's not about the heavy weights, it's not about going crazy. It's like, dude, you need to get flexible. Like you are a stiff rock.
You're pretty
You have to fix all of these elements that you have." And as much as it was an ego hit, obviously that was something else that this place had changed my life with. I'm probably more flexible than I've ever been. My hips are actually opened up, and it's weird because I don't walk around in pain. And it's all the stuff that Tim was telling me. Even, and I'll be real, Tim was telling me that in 2020, and I didn't listen until the end of 2024. So 4 years of him talking about stretching and doing things. 4 years, and I'm finally doing all that stuff. But that's a different part of the journey. That's a different part. But it's the next question. Or I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, that's great. I mean, you're coming here to change all of our lives, not just Tim and mine, but the entire gyms and everyone that knows Coach Ty 925 or works with Coach Ty 925. So it's an important part of the journey, right? That's another fork in the road. Like, not all gyms are the same. Like, there could be 20 CrossFits in a city and they all have a different vibe and flavor. So that's just like kind of like why you go to your favorite Starbucks, even if it's in the closest one to your house, right? Because we just eating at Starbucks. Don't let Tim know you dated someone from Starbucks. Because I can't date someone, he's gonna make me go work at Starbucks. He's like, think of the money I'll save if she
All the free coffee.
coffee. But seriously, like the biggest thing, not the biggest thing, but the next biggest thing we're going to talk about is that you made a huge decision to like reinvent yourself and change the trajectory of your life path and future. And whatever part of that you feel comfortable talking about, I think is a great thing to share.
Absolutely. So Lori's bringing up the point that I wasn't always a full-time coach, and I was a cop. And so I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't. I got my level one in 2021, and I didn't get my level one because I wanted to coach. I got my level one because I wanted to get better at CrossFit. That's the honest truth. And Tim obviously knows me now, but I was a selfish person then. It was like, how can I get better? What can I do to improve myself? And so I remember I ended up getting the L1, and then he's like, "Hey, I know that you were just, doing it to get better with CrossFit, but you should think about coaching a class." And so I was off on the weekend, and I'm like, fine. I will try to coach a class, see what it's like. I'm not doing anything else. And so I had experience. I used to teach at the police academy, so I had worked with getting groups, but it was just different because number one, I still felt like I was new to CrossFit. And I remember there were certain members who were like, they were here when I started, and I'm about to go and have to coach. But long story short, after I coached my first class, I had felt a way that I had never felt, uh, I guess, for doing what I was doing at the time. Like even as a cop, all of the operation we were on, the things that we were doing, the cases we solved, for some reason it didn't fill me up the way that coaching that first class did. Like seeing everybody excited, seeing all the high fives, seeing people get PRs, watching the form change because the cue you might have given them. That was something else for me. And I had made a fork. I had made a choice right there, which we're probably going to talk more into later, but kind of with the whole comfort thing. I was at a point where I had an amazing job, but I was still looking forward to the weekend. And that's scary when you're basically going to do something for 4 days a week just so you could enjoy three, and he was on a 5-2. Like, and I just wasn't happy. And the way I felt, I decided to take a risk and run with that happiness because I figured there's no point in doing this for 30 more years and hating and just living for the weekend when maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else that brings me passion and joy. And that's when I made a big choice to try this coaching.
Yeah, good choice. You're really good at the fork in the road. Yeah. Going back to the work,
a lot of forks.
I'm talking to you when we have to make a decision. We're going to do that. You bring up a good point that you would live for the weekends instead of living every day. And so many people do that. California's rat race. Anyone watching the south side of the state, like, it's hard to get parasympathetic here. It's like fight or flight all the time, busy, busy. But watching the changes in you and the everyone grows as a coach over time. Like we just develop into this wonderful thing, and it's been this beautiful process to watch. And you're living every day, and you're giving people life every day, and you're helping them look forward to, even if they have to work 5 days a week and they're off too, they look forward to their time in the gym. Right. So they're still living every day. And that work-life balance and that living work balance, whatever you want to call it, is really just as important as your sleep, as your nutrition, everything. And now you've created this life that you love, that feeds your fire, that gives other people fire. Like you just create more health and life and happiness. And it's just a wonderful thing to be around every day. And speaking of people, like you're talking about PRs and different stuff in your coaching, we have to give a quick shout out to Benita today. Remember?
Oh,
Ty walks in. I coached this morning, and the first thing I tell Ty, other than like hi, it's like, oh my gosh, you're never gonna guess what happened today. So one of our members who's been here about a month, and I love these stories because this is what this gym's about. This CrossFit gym is about. I got her jumping on the box for the whole 14 minutes of the AMRAP, right? Sherwin making jumps, doing her thing, and squatting not just below parallel, but deep in her thruster. And she would look at me every time she did one and like light up like a Christmas tree. And these are the things, like, I don't know. I hope whatever you do in life gives you this level of excitement, like watching other people with their wins and overcoming fears and overcoming mobility issues. Like that's the kind of stuff that you love, and that's why you make people better. Like, I see you coach her all the time. It just happened today that I was thrown into 10:30 and I was like, let's go a little deeper, But these are the things that Ty's talking about. Like he's not living for the weekends anymore. He's living every day, life outside of here, life inside of here. And there's something beautiful about that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To not feel like you're drowning when you're at work is fantastic.
Yes.
So I'm so happy for you making all these amazing decisions with all these forks in the road. Another question, since you've been here at CrossFit San Ramon, you've brought about many challenges like the 75 hard, different nutrition challenges. You and I do nutrition workshops and different things and clinics together. What role do these challenges play in you achieving your personal goals or in your overall journey? Like, what's that symbiotic relationship about what you're giving back and what it does for you?
So you guys don't know this, but this is the second time that me and Lori shot this because it wasn't shot. But I'm actually glad we did because I got a better grasp of the question the second time around. So basically right now, everything that I am still doing is still helping me in my long-term journey, whether it's doing the podcast with you, whether it's getting up in front of an audience or a class and coaching. All of these are skills that I am trying to hone because I know that where I'm going, I'm going to have to be able to do these things. And so I'm obviously learning, and so every day here is still me basically doing what I can to continue my growth. And so that's what I kind of want to kind of touch on, like all of these challenges or like the 75 hard and other things that me and you have done here. We don't really do these things just for our just to kind of waste time. It's because there's something that me and Coach Lori and Coach Tim have kind of learned and understood about life. There's certain habits that you're going to have to begin to learn before somebody else begins to implement those habits on you. And that's how come we're always trying to show you guys how to eat healthy. That's why we're always trying to show you guys how to use proper form when you're working out and how to basically how to basically stay fit. Because you have to understand that is the equivalent of what geometry was in high school. Like you had to have it. You couldn't get around it. And in life, fitness and food is going to be something that's going to matter every single day of your life. There's never going to be a day where that's not important because you only have one body. So you might as well learn to take care of it and give it what it needs so that it can function at its best for you. But the other reason why it's important to learn these habits is because if you don't learn them, it isn't like you're going to just get by. Someone's going to enforce them on you. And you don't want to reach the point where it's a doctor who's telling you need to eat this, otherwise we're going to amputate a limb. You don't want to have a physical therapist tell you need to get a certain amount of steps a day because you're on your second knee replacement and you still haven't learned. So that is how come like what I'm more into now is the habits and looking at these days is can I continue to build these habits that I'm going to have for the rest of my life? So you could get to a point where you don't even think about the working out. This isn't a struggle anymore. This is what I do. This is a part of me. I don't think about the eating of the bad food. I know that I eat real food, but it took someone wanting to build those habits because I know how important they are to have in life. And the minute you have them locked, there's nothing that you can't do. And I'm telling you, self-discipline starts with eating. If you cannot control what you could put into your mouth or what your hands are doing, there's a bigger problem that you need to figure out within yourself.
Facts. I love that. Last thing, is there the biggest takeaway for health that you'd love to share with listeners or something you can give them for those that are like this close to really taking that correct turn at their fork in the road, right? Like, what's one thing you tell them?
So, one thing I would say, anybody who started any kind of plan or fitness journey during the new year, go until you reach the goal. No matter how long it takes, I promise you, you won't regret it, and it's always worth it. It is always worth it. There's somebody right now who's like, man, I think it's 15 days into the new year, you know, and I deserve a treat. I deserve something. No, you deserve to have a good life, and you're going to get that if you stick to the goal. Don't quit. So many people stop so short of having whatever they could have had. Keep going until you reach the goal and see what that feels like. That's my only main tip is don't quit. And my second one, sugar is the enemy. Stop blaming red meat, stop blaming fat, stop blaming all the healthy stuff. Sugar is the enemy. If you could literally control that, you will see a big change in not only your fitness, but your thinking, your brain, how you feel. That's the issue. Sugar.
Fact.
Doesn't only help.
That's it.
Help tips.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us on our third podcast. Ty, thank you. It was a deeply personal and emotional interview, and we did it twice because it didn't record the first time. Look at us dialed in, this dedication, and we love you guys.
Seriously,
it's all good. If you're not doing so and you're watching us on YouTube, just hit subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, CrossFit SR925. I know it's hard with my list, but the SR is for San Ramon. Like snake over here. And then on Facebook, we're CrossFit San Ramon. If TikTok makes it to the 21st of January, we'll ride high on that app too. And then we'll get back on X because we're just too good to not be on all the platforms, honestly. Next week, we will have actually a member interview. First, remember any guesses? Put the comments down. Who do you think we're going to interview first? And the winner gets a high five and maybe the next interview. I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see what Barry Bonds is doing. I'm not making any promises. Yeah. So in the meantime, stay positive, stay consistent, and keep it real.
And keep it classy, Sarah Ramon.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye.
Dude, I'm going to be able to do JT Snow.
He's making promises now.